Okay, so let's talk about YouTube addiction. And right off the bat, I want to be clear. This isn't about blaming you or saying it's some kind of personal failing. Nope. We're going to look at this for what it is, a really common struggle, and one that's actually, designed to be incredibly hard to beat. I mean, does this sound familiar to you? Because it's the ultimate justification, right? I used to tell myself this all the time. I wasn't just wasting hours. No way. I was being productive. Watching breakdowns on psychology, listening to business podcasts, all the productivity gurus. And it feels good to say that, doesn't it?
But let's just be real for a second. What if that's all it is? A lie we tell ourselves, just a convenient story to make us feel better about the endless scrolling. And look, that's a tough question, but it's so important because just even admitting that's a possibility, well, that's the very first step to actually taking back control.
And that brings us right to the heart of the problem, what I like to call the productive addiction. It's so sneaky, because it's disguised as something good for you, hiding right there in plain sight. Okay, so here's the cold, hard truth. That 90% number you see, that's the percentage of all that educational stuff we watch that, well, if we're being really honest, doesn't change a single thing in our actual lives. It's just endless consumption without ever actually doing anything with it. So here's the thing. The most brilliant trick this addiction plays on us is convincing us it's not an addiction at all. It wraps itself up in this respectable-sounding package of learning and self-improvement, and that's what makes it so incredibly hard to spot. And let's be real, even harder to fight. All right, so how do we actually break free from this thing? First, we have to understand what we're up against. There are basically two forces hijacking your brain. One is external, it's engineered by the platform itself, and the other one, well, that one's internal. It comes from our own psychology. Let's talk about that first force, the dopamine trap. It's fascinating, really. Psychologists have figured out that the real chemical rush, that little dopamine spike you feel, it doesn't actually happen while you're watching the video. Nope, it happens in that tiny little split second before you click. It's your brain whispering, ooh, maybe this video is the one. Maybe this is the one that's going to change everything. And you've got to understand, this isn't some accident. It's not a bug, it's a feature. The entire platform is intentionally designed to exploit this exact thing. Every single recommended video, every shiny thumbnail, every autoplay that kicks in, it's all a carefully calculated move to hijack the very same reward system in your brain that gets people hooked on gambling. It's that powerful. Okay, now for that second force, the one that's coming from inside us. And this one's a little more uncomfortable to admit. Most of the time, we're not scrolling through YouTube just because we're bored. We're watching because we are actively trying to avoid something difficult. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called escape behavior. So what is it you're avoiding? What's that discomfort? Maybe it's that big assignment you just can't bring yourself to start, or that dream you're a little too scared to really chase. Or maybe it's just this feeling that your life is kind of stuck. See, YouTube is the perfect escape because it gives you this illusion of being productive while you're actually doing absolutely nothing to solve the real problem. Okay, so that's the problem. It sounds kind of grim, right? But here's the good news. Here's the twist. You don't actually have to delete the app. You don't have to quit YouTube entirely. The real solution is way smarter than that. It's all about building a better system to beat the platform at its own game. Look, let's face it, you're not going to win a willpower battle against a supercomputer that was literally designed to steal your attention. So the key isn't more willpower, it's not gritting your teeth and trying harder. It's about having a better strategy. Psychologists call this friction theory, and the idea is super simple. By adding just a tiny bit of resistance, just a little bit of friction, you can break a habit's powerful grip on you. So here's the four-step plan, the friction fix. It's super practical. First, move that YouTube app. Bury it deep in a folder somewhere off your main home screen. Second, and this is a big one, log out after every single session. That extra step of having to log back in, it's a surprisingly powerful deterrent. Third, go into your settings and turn off autoplay and recommendations. And finally, the golden rule. From now on, you only watch what you actively and intentionally search for. Never, ever just click on what's suggested. And when you do this, the result is huge. It completely flips the power dynamic. Suddenly, the algorithm isn't in charge of your attention anymore. You are. You go from being a passive consumer to an active, intentional user. You choose what to watch, you choose when, and you choose why. So what actually happens when you put this system into practice? Well, your brain basically goes through a hard reset. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not always easy, especially at first. But it leads to this place where you can actually start enjoying real life again, for real.
Here's kind of what you can expect. Day 1, maybe day 2, your brain is going to panic a little. It's used to that constant cheap stimulation, and it's going to feel agitated. You'll feel that craving for a quick video fix. But if you can just push through that, after about a week, something really incredible starts to happen. Your whole dopamine system starts to recalibrate itself.
And honestly, that's the real prize here. You start getting that hit of dopamine, that feeling of satisfaction, not from a screen, but from real life, from actually finishing that tough assignment, from making real progress on a goal you care about, even from just being fully present in a conversation with someone. That's what it feels like when your brain starts to heal. Okay, let's zoom out for a second, because this is way bigger than just one app on your phone. This is about what might be the most important battle of our time, the fight for your focus, the fight for your own attention.
There's this quote from some Stanford psychologists that just hits the nail on the head. They basically argue that the greatest addiction of our time isn't what we think it is. It's distraction. It's the endless scroll, the constant pings and notifications, the infinite feed. That is the true addiction of the 21st century.
And the stakes here, I mean, they couldn't be higher. Because when you just give up your attention to an algorithm, you're not just losing a few minutes here and there, you're losing your life. It's being chopped up into these tiny, meaningless little pieces, one suggested video at a time. So the big takeaway is this. Beating this addiction isn't really about deleting an app. It's about deleting the version of yourself that feels like it needs to scroll, the one that can't control its impulses. It's a total transformation. You go from being someone who's easily manipulated to being someone an algorithm simply cannot control. So we're at the end of this explainer. And right now, in this very moment, you have a choice. You can let the algorithm serve up whatever it thinks you should watch next, or you can take control. You can close this window and go do something that you deliberately choose to do. The power is completely yours. So, who decides what happens next?